Good afternoon, everybody. We're live on the air right now. And today is Tuesday, October 1st, and is the National League wild card game between the Nationals and the Milwaukee Brewers. If there's any audience out there might happen to see this video later on, if you're in Washington, D.C., PG County, Maryland, Montgomery County, Maryland, the counties of Arlington, and Fairfax County, even Loudoun, and wherever you might be throughout the metro area and around the U.S. Maybe you happen to be in Wisconsin right now as a Brewers fan. So thank you to today's audience for listening. So today's the National League wild card game between the Nationals and the Brewers, and on the mound for the Nationals is Max Scherzer, who was not going to be himself today. Or when I say that, there's a good chance he's not going to be the starter we saw, say, in Cincinnati or in Detroit. We may not see vintage Max Scherzer. We may see 6 very good innings, or even 6 okay good innings, which may not be enough to win. And for the Brewers, it's going to be Brandon Woodruff. So we're going to run down through the Brewers first. So the Brewers this year, it's been an interesting year. At times, we thought they might win the National League Central. They have lost Christian Yelich for the season. There's zero chance of playing this series or at any point in the playoffs at all. And now let's get to Brandon Woodruff. So right now, it's just kind of interesting. He actually made the All-Star game this year. Was clearly the Brewers' best starting pitcher for much of the first half and even into the second half. Had an injury. And has only pitched twice since July 21st, on the 17th and the 22nd. So what was going through my mind right now is, I did not think it was him. I was not thinking about him. I thought it might be possibly someone like Chase Anderson or Zach Davies, someone like that. But what is clear what the Brewers are doing is they're not expecting anything close to a traditional starting pitching outing. What this is going to be is, it's kind of a larger version of an opener. It's going to be similar to what they did last year against the Rockies and the Dodgers, where Woodruff might pitch, I don't know how many innings he pitch, might go through the order one time, might pitch 2 or even 3 innings at the most, and then it's going to be a bullpen. So for the Brewers, it's going to be a bullpen game for the most part. You're going to see almost no starting pitching. And it worked completely well for them last year. I mean, this is the Brewers team where, yes, they are different, somewhat different than they were last year. They're very, very bullpen dependent going to the playoffs. And earlier I did a ranking. It's on Twitter. You can go to Berklisle Search to see that. And this is just my opinion. I rank playoff rotations. I put the Brewers as number 10. So again, they are not. So if they were to advance, what would the rotation be? I have no idea right now. I mean, really about tonight, I don't think Craig Counsell's worried about that. If they win, he'll make that decision tomorrow. Probably on the plane ride to Los Angeles. So it's going to be a bullpen game. Notable bullpen options that they might use. Drew Pomerantz, who was a longtime starter, was a starter in San Francisco this year, came in, and this is September. So 13 innings and 25 Ks. That's translated to 16.9 Ks per 9 inning. Josh Hader in the month, who, speaking of Hader, last year in the playoffs for the Brewers, go as many times, went 2 and even 3 innings, and it was so wild. Came in the middle innings. Actually came in, I think, as early as the 3rd inning against the Dodgers last year in the NLCS Game 7. So I would not be surprised, granted on rest, if he comes in, could come in and pitch 7, 8, 9. Maybe you ask for 9 outs. I don't think that's going to happen, but it's possible. Maybe you do come in. Hader comes in the 6th inning. 17 Ks per 9 in the month of September. 27 strikeouts in 14 innings, basically 2 per inning. And you go down the list, another interesting option could be possibly, here's a wild card to keep an eye out on. Someone who could give them multiple innings, who had Tommy John surgery, just getting back from that, Brent Suter, who pitched 18 innings, about 2 innings per game in the month of September. 0.49 ERA, that's the stat that really blows me away. At the moment, you might ask, he could come in and give multiple innings, maybe pitches in the 4th and the 5th inning. And then maybe Gio Gonzalez as well, who kind of comes in after openers and goes, say, might go 2 or 3 innings today as well. So that's what might happen. And I have no idea what they're going to do. It's unpredictable. We do know one thing. Brandon Woodruff's going to have a very short outing. Is going to go probably one time through the order. Since when he's come back, he pitches basically 2 or 3 innings per start, so may pitch 2 innings, maybe 3 at the most. And then maybe it's a Gio Gonzalez to get them kind of through the middle innings. Or Brent Suter. And then maybe then you go Hader or Pomerantz or whatever. So it's different than last year. There's no Corey Knebel after the Tommy John surgery. Jeremy Jeffress isn't on the team anymore. That was kind of their 7-8-9 combination. Last year, not to mention another mind-boggling stat I want to share out of the bullpen. Freddie Peralta, who at times has been a starter for them, certainly a long reliever, may even be a starter next year. 9 innings in September, 20 strikeouts, 18.6 per 9 innings. So if you ask him to pitch 9 innings in a complete game, and granted it's about 1 inning per start, a little bit more, but that's basically the equivalent of what Max Scherzer did, what Roger Clemens did, Randy Johnson did in one game. Getting 20 strikeouts in a complete game. And as a versatile, can go multiple innings. So the Brewers, they have a great bullpen. And starting pitching that will go 4 or 5 innings at the most. I mean, they're gonna, and we're gonna talk at length about this tomorrow. They're like the Rays right now, where it's gonna be, they're gonna be very heavily dependent on bullpen. That is tonight, and that is gonna be throughout the playoffs, just like last year. And maybe we see something. Could we see something down the stretch in the playoffs? If they advance, like we saw last year, where Wade Miley looked like he was the starter, pitched to one batter, came out, that was it. Does something like that happen? I mean, I don't know, but this is a Brewers team that, like last year, got hot in September, got hot at the right time, where they ran down the Cubs once again and clinched a spot, almost caught the Cardinals, almost came very close to catching them, but couldn't quite catch the Cardinals. And here they are in this wild card game. So again, they have a lot to work with tonight. And if Max Scherzer, as we'll get ready to talk about him, in the first half, it looked like he was going to have well on his way to 3 Cy Youngs in 4 years. He's just that dominant. And then right around kind of July, on the All-Star break, started experiencing back issues. And it dragged on, missed some time, missed a few weeks, then got hurt again, missed almost another month. So hardly pitched at all for the first, say, 6 weeks of the second half. And since he's come back, 8 game starts, 2-2, 5 ERA, 62 strikeouts. So, you know what he has, Stone? Flashes of things. In his last 2 game starts, while his ERA was not impressive, gave up a fair amount of runs, 21 strikeouts in 12.2 innings his last starts to end the year. So we know he can strike people out, but the question is, if he has a start, let's say it's 6 innings, 3 runs, kind of what the second half has been. If he has a start like that, gives up a home run here, home run there, or whatever, maybe someone makes an error, sac fly. Against the Brewers, there might be zero margin for error with their bullpen. I mean, I just went at length discussing their bullpen. Low ERAs, high strikeout rates. If that happens, then all of a sudden, the Nationals are in danger. And what I feel like is, so if you have to say on paper, starting pitching, advantage Scherzer clearly. And again, a bullpen, maybe someone finally has a bad day for the Brewers, and they were so great for so long, and just tonight they don't have it. Then all of a sudden, maybe this is Scherzer's game, but this is not going to be. I think I heard him talking about it. Let's say he throws over 100 pitches, maybe he goes 7-8 innings at the very best. But what I feel like is the Nationals offense has to get what they can against the Brewers bullpen. Since the Brewers if they score first, I feel like their odds of winning goes dramatically up. Since on paper, you can look at starting pitching. The Nationals, and if this was a 5-game series or a 7-game series, the Nationals on paper have a much better starting pitching rotation. I mean, Anibal Sanchez would be their ace right now. Anibal Sanchez would be their ace right now. And it wouldn't even be that close. That is what their rotation is like. Maybe even Joe Ross would be their ace. I mean, I don't know. And any starter they have would clearly be a 5 on the Nationals. Lineups. Nationals lineup on paper is clearly much better. Much better on paper. As of right now, especially without Yelich. Or definitely has an advantage. Bullpen, huge advantage for the Brewers. I don't care if this is a 7-game series. They have a huge advantage. And that is why the Nationals, who you've heard talk to this, talking on Scherzer, I've heard reports of them using Steven Strasburg potentially as well, whether that's the close or whether that's the pitch, say the 7th, 8th inning, I don't know. Maybe gets an inning here. Maybe Corbin gets an inning. So if you think about their bullpen, that's a huge weakness for them. In fact, I've seen the stats numerous times over the last couple of weeks and days leading into the playoffs. They have the worst bullpen ERA of any team to ever make it to the playoffs. Any team ever. You're talking about the World Series from the 3rd in 1903 all the way throughout history, and really in the last 20 years, 25 years when bullpens were fairly relevant. Certainly nowhere near what they were today. I mean, bullpens today are much more relevant. I mean, a bullpen was fairly similar, say 10 years ago, then 25 years ago. It really wasn't that much of a difference. And then 5 years ago, I think that started to change quite a bit with the Royals going to the World Series, being built on a bullpen. And then now, what the Brewers have done the last couple of years, and with Tampa, what we may see of them tonight, bullpens are very important, and the Nationals obviously have a bullpen ERA well over 5. It's been that way pretty much all year. I think it has dropped. It has gotten better. It has gotten better, but still, it is still one of the worst in the league. Still one of the worst in the league. So it is better. So that is why they're relying heavily on Scherzer. And there's a good chance, not certain, I'd say 50-50 shot that Strasburg comes in, maybe pitches. You know, this would be equivalent of a bullpen session for him. I mean, the Red Sox going to last year's October, had question marks about their bullpen. And what they did is they used starters, so maybe this is equivalent of a bullpen session for Strasburg, and maybe he pitches on Thursday in Los Angeles, but they're not worried about that right now. David Martinez saying throughout the year has been 1-0 today, and they're not worried about Thursday in Los Angeles. They have to worry about today, and they'll make that decision later, probably tomorrow, if they win. So you have that question right now about Thursday. and then Corbin as well. And the relievers that I want to see for the Nationals. And right before I get to that, throughout the week, it has been a debate on whether the Nationals start Strasburg or Scherzer. I actually thought it would be close, especially if Scherzer pitched that Sunday to close the season. If they really needed him, it would have been Strasburg. And it was still a debate, but at the end of the day, I guess one slight advantage you have is Scherzer's on 6 days rest, pitched last Tuesday. Strasburg would have been on regular rest, 4 days rest. That's about standard. So if you have Strasburg on regular rest, then maybe he's bumped up to 7. So who knows? Who knows? And there's all sorts of scenarios. What if this game goes 15 innings? Well, then maybe Strasburg acts like a starter. I don't know. Or who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? I don't know yet. I'm not sure at the moment. But there's just a strong possibility that Strasburg will pitch today. And for their bullpen, who I want to see in the back end for the bullpen is Sean Doolittle and Daniel Hudson. Those are the two relievers I have by far the most confidence in right now, who can maybe get innings 8 and 9 if necessary. I mean, we'll see. I mean, I don't know. You know, Daniel Hudson's pretty much been their closer really ever since Doolittle went down, which that's when we started to see kind of the low point in Doolittle's season was against the Brewers. It was clearly having shoulder fatigue. And one stat I want to bring up about the Brewers is, yes, their lineup's limited. Christian Yelich will not play. Leonard O'Kane is hurt and limited, will be very limited. Ryan Braun is playing through an injury as well. So your 3 outfielders are, none of them are completely healthy right now. But the Brewers, an interesting stat, they're first in walks and third in the National League in steals. So it could be interesting, and it really depends on who gets on. But if they figure out ways to work walks and steal bases, maybe you have a ground ball to second here, sac fly there, or a single or whatever. That's how the Brewers could win. They could win doing little things like that, walking and stealing. Of course, that's unlikely. That's just something I'm just keeping an eye out on. And then obviously having a bullpen. So here's what I say. If the Brewers can just get through with Woodruff, can just have a good outing, give them 2-3 good innings, and let's say the Brewers manage to score a run or two off Scherzer, then I'd say the Brewers win with their bullpen. That's how the Brewers win, is get to Scherzer early. You know, even you only have to score, say, 2 or 3 runs against them, and then they'll be in great shape. But if the Nationals get to Woodruff early, they score early, they jump all over Woodruff, which is certainly possible, and then Scherzer's on, they're going to win the game. So I think really it's about who scores first. It's about who scores first, really, in my opinion. And the Nationals are clearly at the advantage with the starting pitcher right now in this one game. That is their big advantage. So if Scherzer's on, they win. If he's not on, then it's going to be very hard. So if I had to make a prediction, I'm going to say the Nationals win. In this one game, I think Scherzer goes 6 innings, 6-7 innings, double-digit strikeouts. He's up 2 runs, and if the Nationals score, manage to get to Woodruff and manage to get they're going to win. I think it's going to be fairly low scoring, but the Nationals win. And it could be unpredictable. The Nationals could win 10-7, or the Brewers could win 11-6, or whatever. Unpredictable things are going to happen, but based on talent right now in this game, I'm picking the Nationals. So that is all that we have right now. So tomorrow we will do we will preview the American League Wild Card, and then on Thursday we'll try to preview each of the division series. So thank you for listening to this edition, and we will see you next time. And before, which I should have done at the beginning of the show, I just want to do a rapid fire as we leave. A rapid fire World Series picks all the way to the World Series. So tonight, just talked about this for 20 minutes. Nationals, Brewers, Nationals. This is kind of a spoiler alert, and I'll go more in depth to that tomorrow. But if I had to say, A's, Rays, I'm going to say the A's. So then it's A's, Astros, Yankees, Twins, Yankees. On the other side, so it's Nationals, Dodgers, Braves, Cardinals, Braves, Astros, Yankees, Astros, Dodgers, Braves, Dodgers, Astros over the Dodgers. I have the Astros winning the World Series with the Dodgers. So that's my rapid fire picks, and we'll see you next time.